I want to say, you guys are doing a great thing. It's such an uncomfortable topic to talk about, especially for a guy, young guys in their early 20s. And, I'm glad that, I could tune in and, listen to you guys.
Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
I'm sorry, Joseph. I was stuck in Los Angeles traffic when everything's closed and the freeways are all effed up and there's fires. Well, actually, the fires are out for the most part. But
hey, man, don't apologize to me. Apologize to the people, man.
Look, these people are lucky I'm alive.
Guess I should.
I don't think these young guys even understand. I survived 9/11. My mother, let her rest in peace.
There you go.
And these fires. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
No one really understands
no
one understands the 9/11 story. The fact that I was actually right there, that I lived right there, that I lived 2 blocks south of the South Tower, and that my building was the last building standing.
Yeah.
There were body parts, this is all documented, on the terraces or the balconies of the building that I lived in. Luckily, I lived on the top floor. It was like my dream condo, my dream apartment, brother.
Yeah.
At 180-degree views, I was able to see the Statue of Liberty all the way down, to the Staten Island Ferry and up to the World Trade Centers, Hudson River. Almost floor-to-ceiling windows. I was a young man with a young lady kicking ass and taking names, and then it was all over. And I have to have my lungs checked every year.
Yeah.
Phone number is 888-659-3727.
Okay.
I should announce the broadcast on my Instagram. Guys, if you're new to the show, this is the Hair Loss Show. This is what we do here. I am the original host. Co-host for a little over a decade is Joe Tillman, the original hair transplant mentor.
I've been doing a decade now. Yeah.
Yeah, just too long. I've been doing this program initially on the radio since 1998. Got off the radio in 2009. Kind of went into retirement, but still did a stream on like other people's. I did it on a GFQ network for fun, and then started to do it, just through the Bald Truth. Never really. I mean, I put up a few podcasts, but honestly, my whole gig was enough is enough. I've done enough. I've helped a lot of people over the years. I had a big broadcast for 11 years on national radio and on XM satellite radio. And people online were still giving me shit.
And then I had a vision, and I donned the parka, and I took a private jet up to the north, and I got some pack mules, and I hiked it up to the top of a mountain to this cabin where you're decked out in your plaid and your long beard. I said, man, you need to come back. Come back.
I think you're more concerned about my drinking than anything else.
No, I wanted to join you on that. That's why I brought the parts to make a still.
Jesus, I should close my shirt. What's going on here? What a mess.
That was my problem. It's like, hello, everything's staying out. So, anyway, I was motivated today. I don't know if you saw my reel.
I didn't, to be honest with you. But you told me about it slightly right before the show.
I was, just a normal Friday morning, getting up, having my coffee, doing my routine, take the dog for a walk, and then I was like, you know what? I've been trying to do these, the kids call them the Instagrams there, and I saw this reel pop up with none other than Jude Law, and he's on some sort of podcast. And I don't know when this happened. It could be a repeat from 5 years ago. For all I
Guys,
know.
by the way, hold on. Joe's telling a story, so don't hang up.
And
That's so funny. As soon as I said that, somebody hung up. I think people get stage fright or they get performance anxiety
I
calling the
think
show.
so. Well, it happens. But I was shocked because he was openly discussing his hair loss. Like, it was the subject of discussion. It wasn't just like this aside type of thing. It was all about his hair.
All about Jude
and
Law's
his
hair.
forelock. And
the importance of keeping
I thought
that forelock
it was
for dear
fantastic.
life.
And he even said that he fights tooth and nail, like will fight to the bitter end to keep it. And he goes on to talk about it. And I actually have the reel, and we can watch it. But I find it interesting because people have said that he's had a hair transplant.
People are idiots, honestly.
And
that's a great thing. That's why we can still do this for 30 years.
Exactly, right? But, and what a lot of people don't realize, like when they talk about this debate, has he had a hair transplant or not, they throw these pictures up where he's in some sort of scene in a movie, and it's like, don't you people realize that even actors with full heads of hair will wear wigs for a different part? Like Eric Bana or Eric Bana, the Australian actor, he was, I'll never forget this, he was in the Incredible Hulk movie from like 2003. That dude's got a real full head of hair. And there were scenes where he had some sort of wig on. And I remember thinking to myself, even back when I was in the theater watching this, why is he wearing a wig? What is the point of this? Like, what makeup department head looked at this guy and said, he needs more hair?
Yeah.
Made no sense to me. But I'm going to go ahead and play this. I'm going to drag this up here, and I think it's interesting. Let me see if I can do this. Here we go.
Going on.
Thanks.
Like,
your hair.
My peak, my island, my kids call it.
And it's all.
Dude,
are you prepared to?
We got to get you. We got to get you hooked up on your software, brother.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, it's slightly stretched, but you can still hear and see what's going on. Like, I tried to work on it earlier, but to no avail. But listen to this.
Defend that area as necessary
With my life.
as you.
Oh, you mean fake?
As you age,
Sow some seeds in there.
Look, technological. There's far more than just surgical interventions these days. How important is defending this front to you?
It's so vital to who I am. However, I've shorn it off several times for certain roles, and I've no issue with a pate. My father is bald, and that's a very good question. I think it's one that I'll have to answer when the day comes.
You're welcome here with us.
Thank you.
We're glad to accept you.
I mean, one of the things many things I love about Jack Nicholson is obviously his performances, his persona, his energy, but was always the receding hairline.
Yeah.
It to me made him unbelievably attractive and charismatic. So
Yeah.
I'm a big
I
fan
know
of it.
exactly what you're talking about. I agree with you completely. And I think you have that going on.
Thanks.
Like your front hair is really distinctive and a big part of how unspeakably handsome you are.
Thank you so much, and I will defend it to the last.
Right. So, it is what it is. I mean, they have this discussion. Sorry, hold on.
So I think people prefer the triple of me.
There we go. They have this discussion, and I thought that was probably the most candid discussion about hair loss by an A-list. Like, there's no question, he's an A-list celebrity. He's top of the game. I've never seen such a candid discussion about hair loss, especially from someone that's not done anything about it that we know of. Like, maybe he's on finasteride or something, but they never got into that. But I just thought it was really refreshing to hear someone like him in his position, his stature, talk about, his concerns about it. Because he's talking about, that's what was funny about what you said, is he said almost the exact same thing. He's fighting for every hair on his head. But he also touches on how, like with Jack Nicholson, that little forelock that Jack has, which is what he has, that totally frames your face. And the guy that's in the podcast with Jude Law, who's obviously much balder, if all he needs is a forelock in the front and he could be completely bald behind it, and that would completely change his appearance. It's the framing of the face.
So I tell these dumb
it's
kids,
amazing how it works.
dumb kids who goof about my hairline, saying, "Oh, it starts at the back of your head." You know what, brother? The fact that you are on my Instagram at 17, good luck having this much hair.
Yeah,
when you're
my
almost
age.
60.
Yeah, not going to happen for most of them. It's not going to happen. They'll have less.
Crying out loud.
But I want people, like, people can call in and talk about it and give their opinions. If you're watching the replay of this broadcast after we're not live anymore, make comments down in the comments section, because I'm really curious what people think about this. Like, do you think that he looks fine the way he is? Do you think that he needs to have surgical work done? Should he gracefully bald as he gets older? Should he continue to fight? Like, I don't know why, but this one really fascinates me, and I want to know people's opinion on it, because I think it's I don't know, it caught my attention. I was really interested in this one, and I'm glad to see him talk about this the way he did. I thought it was really refreshing.
By the way, Paul Smith, calling me old is not a compliment. I'm just saying. Anyway, 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. We are live. Joseph, thank you for bringing that little tidbit to the broadcast.
Absolutely.
Let's take some calls. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Ed from Toronto.
Ed from Toronto.
What's up, Ed?
How are you, sir?
Good, thank you. So I want to talk about getting some advice on my situation. I'm in my mid-40s. Mm-hmm. I started finasteride about 4 years, actually, after talking to you guys, and I recognize I've started it very late.
I'm curious. I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah.
You spoke to us, and you started 4 years after. What?
No, I started 4 years ago, but shortly after I talked to you guys.
Sure. Okay, that makes more sense to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
I understood you.
Yes. Actually, you were the one that mentioned it, Joe, because I said I would get a hair transplant and then go on finasteride, and you said, well, you should probably go on finasteride first, which actually made a lot of sense. It's stabilized things. Yeah, it helped in the sense that I was really kind of losing my mind, and once I started taking it, I saw it wasn't that bad. I was just disappointed I didn't start earlier, and it did help a bit, which kind of helped with my mood and stuff like that. And then it's still not great. And going with some of your advice about not necessarily jumping into surgery, I started Rogaine about a year ago, just to see how it would go. And so I'm on finasteride and Rogaine, and I'm at a point where, I can get by with Dermatch, but I have to slather it on my crown and up the top of my head, and then comb over it. And it's not ideal, but at least I can look at myself in the mirror. But I'm just wondering.
That's a great soundbite there, brother.
I've got hair. It's very thin. And I always thought if I could just do surgery into that thinness, I'd be happy with that. But then kind of recognize I could lose a lot of that hair too. I'm not sure where to go with this. Looking for thoughts. Do I live with the Dermatch for as long as possible, or would it be time to start looking at transplant, or maybe look at other things like oral minoxidil? So that's kind of my story.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking before you handed over to us.
Yep.
You're taking topical minoxidil.
Yes.
Did that make any difference that you could see?
It didn't make a huge difference, but it is making enough difference that the Dermatch actually is more effective. So
Okay.
I was thinking to myself, I'd give it another year to see if I could even get a bit more progress, which would mean less Dermatch. But yeah, it's done something, but it's really not that significant at the end of the day.
And your finasteride intake, is it generic or name brand Proscar or Propecia?
Propecia.
Okay.
We have a
All
friend,
right.
Graham, who calls the program from Australia. Sorry to cut you off, Joe.
Yeah.
You
What
gotta
about
hide
Graham?
that. You gotta hide that face though when I cut you off. You can't be angry when I cut you off.
No, I'm not angry. I was curious what you're saying
Graham,
about Graham.
who is a fan of the broadcast, who is a Norwood 7 never coming back, or Norwood 6 never coming back for a while, started oral minoxidil. And now you see pictures of him online, and it is ridiculous how much hair he grew back. It's
I actually have his photos
It's amazing.
potted up for in case he calls, because I know he's in the chat room.
Is it? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I was going to suggest that
Yeah.
the topical minoxidil. I've seen very few people have quantifiably, no questions asked,
Yeah.
visual improvements from it. A few have, but it's so far few and far in between. But with oral minoxidil, that's changing the game. Like that has really changed the game for a lot of people, including Graham. I'm super impressed with him and his results. I'm super happy for him, and I think that's the next step, or that's something to consider as the next step. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying, well, how about if I change finasteride to dutasteride? No, I don't think that's the way to go. At least not yet. I think that oral minoxidil, that's your next step to consider.
Yeah, and there's a little reservation like I had with finasteride, but I'm sure I can get over that. I guess the question is, do doctors prescribe that regularly, or do you have to go through,
What's funny about oral minoxidil is that it got so much. Once it hits the mainstream press, physicians in general are a lot less concerned about prescribing it, especially since they're concerned because of everything that's transpired online and the mainstream press about prescribing finasteride. I'm talking about like your GP, your internist, dermatologist. You go to a dermatologist today, they will hand out low-dose finasteride like candy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
You can get the shit off back of trucks if it's available, whatever.
So I guess things are changed. I could at least broach the conversation with my doctor, but from what it seems like, I know you guys have encouraged to take a transplant as your last resort. Also, I think I remember you guys saying potentially, wait maybe as long as you can to see what you look like in your later years.
How old are you now?
If you were going to go, I'm 46.
You're already in your later years, brother.
I am in
I'm
my
just
later
kidding.
years.
I'm just kidding.
No, I am. And that's why I was wondering, do I take the plunge with the hair transplant or do I go with oral minoxidil? And it seems, I guess, from what I'm hearing, try the oral minoxidil. Is that correct?
Here's the thing. You're still relatively young. And the fact that you have enough hair, you put some Dermatch in, you can look at yourself in the mirror and feel okay.
I have to slather it on, but I can get by now.
So why wouldn't you take the, if you are not concerned about taking another medication, if your doctor is willing to prescribe it, if you are physically, assessed that you could, and they're willing to prescribe and say, okay, let's give this a chance and see if you have any adverse side effects, why wouldn't you do that over surgery?
That's the thing. That's what I want to do over surgery. I just wanted to run it by you guys.
Especially since you're really, it's your crown that's you seem to be having the most problems with.
Crown and higher up.
Mid-scalp.
It's a lot. Yeah, mid-scalp.
Yeah.
But again, there's hair there. It's just very thin.
Dude, this guy grew a pelt of hair on Formica with this stuff.
Yeah.
I love the reference. Pelt on Formica.
Yeah. You know,
Have you
That's
heard?
good.
Have you heard any horror stories with oral minoxidil? Like, just, you know, you don't have to go in too deep, but has there been any concerns that have arisen?
you mean besides people dropping dead in the streets?
Heart
Well,
attacks?
yeah,
Not.
Aneurysms?
stuff like that.
No, I haven't. I mean, the only thing that I've really heard of is heart palpitations, severe edema, periorbital edema, ankle edema.
Dizziness.
Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, there could be some cardiac issues, but I haven't heard it, at least in the industry.
Yeah.
Maybe one guy, if I remember correctly. He didn't die or anything. But I do believe that some of these side effects, and especially the edema, can be mitigated if people are really willing to get on a relatively stricter diet.
Okay.
Doctors don't tell you about that. They're just like, here's the pill. You may have side effects. It could cause swelling temporarily. But if you don't give your body the ability to retain water in the first place, it's going to be a lot more difficult, even if the medication makes you retain more water. It's going to be a lot more difficult to have that side effect if you have extremely low carbs, if you're eating mostly protein and fats. You're probably not going to suffer the adverse. And if you're not drinking, there's a good chance you can mitigate those side effects. And they're usually transient anyway.
Right.
In fact,
I guess,
And again, I'm not a doctor.
Yep.
And to touch on what he was saying, I would just to be as prepared as possible. If you do wind up getting a script for oral minoxidil from whomever, I would put that in the cupboard, and then spend the next 2 weeks transitioning into a much better diet just to prepare your body for it.
Right.
So that you can mitigate those chances of having some sort of edemic side effects. That bothers me quite a bit. Like that's something that I just have a thing for edema type of situations. I'm not crazy about them. I know they go away, but they just kind of creep me out a little bit for myself. But for me, ultimately, the only reason why I've not, the two reasons why I haven't really taken the plunge with oral minoxidil myself, it's been in the back of my mind for years. I've talked to Dr. Wong about it a couple of times, and he's willing to write the script for me. The first hold up was the potential cardiac issues, but I feel more confident about that now, to where I would take it if it wasn't for the second thing. And the second thing is, I forget shit.
Dude, at this point in your life, a heart
tough
attack would be a blessing.
Well, in some situations. Wait, for who? You? And I know myself, and it's like, will I stick to a consistent regimen? It's difficult enough to stick to a regimen of finasteride. And yes, I can put them side by side and go through the things, but it's like, I just don't like routine. It's tough for me.
I can totally stick with it because I've even stuck with the minoxidil topical, and it's been no problem to do it twice a day. But
Hats
that's
off to
the
you,
thing.
man, 'cause that's dedication.
Yeah. So I mean, that wouldn't be an issue, and I guess I could probably start with the even lower dosage than 5 milligrams.
Brother, I mean, let's face it. Yeah. Joe's got some sort of a problem. If he can't be compliant with taking a pill, that's an issue.
I fully admit it's an issue. I have issues.
That's why I tell these kids all the time, like, well, how about topical finasteride? Like, yeah, I mean, there's evidence that it works. There's no long-term evidence at this point. Mm-hmm. It was really just developed because of people like yourself, not you, caller, who are scared shitless to take the pill, which I understand. So doctors are like, hey, wait, let's concoct this stuff together and slap it on people's heads, and they'll do it for at least a year, and that's how it started. So to me, it's always much easier to take a pill if you can, and if you're doing well. And again, I'm not here to push medication. Yeah. I don't love the fact that I've been on finasteride for about 30 years. And I think about that I have to take this medication. Yeah. And I don't have to take any other medication, knock on wood. Most guys my age are on like 5 meds at this point. You know,
That's that's a good point. That's a good point. They're on five or 10 meds because they have to be, not because they want to be.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Paul Smith in the chat room says, I had my heart tested on oral minoxidil as I was paranoid, and they said I was perfect and my blood pressure is perfect, so I think it's safe. I hope, ? Damon Fitzgerald, I've been on 20 milligrams of oral minoxidil every day for high blood pressure, 9 months in and no side effects, but I'm very active and it's growing my hair back like crazy. Even my arm hair is growing very long. And 20 mil is still actually fairly low compared to what some people get for their blood pressure. They're 50 milligram, even 100 milligram prescriptions.
Like,
are
why
not
can't
unheard
one of
of.
the side effects be like dick edema? You know, and
I got enough problems.
No one be afraid of that.
So
Good stuff.
Yeah, thank you for this advice. And I'll throw one more thing at you, and I think I'm going to pursue this. Let's say I didn't use the oral minoxidil. I'm on finasteride. I'm on another year of Rogaine, and it's doing a bit more to help me again cover up with Dermatch.
Mm-hmm.
Can I have surgery?
That's the thing. I'm just. Do you think keep doing just keep doing the Dermatch and ride along, or
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let's be completely candid here. I know the kids may joke around about if they talk like I have a high hairline or whatever it is, which I feel very fortunate about. But the reality is, I'm very comfortable painting my head. I live a good life. When I walk out in the world, I don't see anybody looking at my hair except for people like Joe. And if I would have had surgery and I can get anyone to perform my surgery anywhere in the world for free, I don't know if I'd be in this position. Now, it's possible I'd be a lot better and not have to use any Dermatch, and I'd have like this great crown and a fuller mid-interior scalp and maybe be able to comb my hair back, which would make me look better, I think. But there's also a possibility I could F myself up.
Right.
Why take that chance if you could look at yourself in the mirror right now, and especially if you grow more hair?
And that's yep, sure.
I got one better for you. Yeah. Why don't you see like if whatever you do as far as medication goes, why don't you see what it will be like to wean yourself slowly off of Dermatch and go au natural? Huh?
No,
huh?
Trust me.
No,
trust me. No. No. It's just I kind of like Spencer. I must have some hair in my hair.
Okay. Well, here's why I say that. First off, how much hair are you missing in the crown? Like, are you bald in the crown? You just got some fuzzies, or what's going on there?
Fuzzies.
Okay.
And yeah.
So would you be happy with some terminal hair in the crown to where it still looks thin, but it's got even coverage through the area, or does it need to be full?
No, it does. It definitely doesn't need to be full. I'm at that point. It's not fuzzies actually. It's just thin hair at this point. And but it's
okay.
It's
and the reason I asked that it's really important. Sorry to cut you off, but it's very important why I asked that, because I find that people that are, for lack of a better, addicted to Dermatch or Kobren or Topic or whatever.
How dare you, Joseph?
That I was waiting for you to say that. I find that the coverage or the camouflage that you're getting, it depends on how you're applying it, but most people apply it to where there's no scalp visible.
Yeah.
That's not how I do it.
And the problem, but you spend 5 hours a day in the morning doing it. But the problem is that no hair transplant, well, I take that back. I saw one recently that kind of refutes that, but very few hair transplants into the crown will give you that same type of illusion. There's always going to be some see-through.
I leave little streaks, and I also leave my part slightly wider when I can tighten that part up, no problem, easy.
Yeah,
but I make sure that I don't, so that people they don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a work of
Well,
art.
you know, the thing, and I'm sure it is, and I'd love to see it one day. The thing is,
it's never going to happen, brother.
no, Joe, I'm not one of those people that needs, like, if I can get by with a surgery that kind of looked like what I would be using with Dermatch, and then I can use Dermatch very little or even fibers, which I really can't do right now unless I really go heavy on it. I would be happy with that. But I think what I'm hearing and what I was thinking you'd say, and I agree, is, you know, try the oral minoxidil, maybe start slower, get the hang of it, and pursue that. And
God, at 46, you could not only grow more hair, you can keep your hair. I mean, you could be 56 with more hair than you have right now without having surgery.
That's what I've heard you guys talk about, and it's really kind of opened my eyes because you know, I've actually gone to doctors, you know, several years ago, and it was almost like, oh, you want to have surgery? Just they open the book and go, okay, how about, you know, next week?
Yep.
And it's just,
Yep.
it's just too.
It's a business,
scary.
brother. You know, that's just the
Yeah.
way that it is.
And to be fair,
Yeah.
they are in the business of surgery. They're not in the business of writing prescriptions.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, it does, like, you can't really blame them too much, but you know, there's a line that you don't want them to cross where it's like, oh, hi Bob, your name's, you know, not Bob. It's like, when do you want to have surgery? It's like, okay, there's something a little pushy and used car salesman-esque about that, but
Yeah.
Well, we had a caller last week who was actually a car salesman before he became a hair transplant salesman.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, if
Forgot about that.
and I don't know if this is realistic, but if the doctor could have just spent some time to show me that he actually assessed my situation, and kind of planned it out, I might have actually had the surgery. But it was like, you want to do your crown? Like, now I know you probably don't start with the crown, but it was like, you want to do your crown? Sure, let's do that.
Oh, man, brother,
And
we're
then-
going to take some more calls in a second. And Graham, I know you're trying to call in. So when we hang up on this caller, you can try to call in. Or you're probably getting a voicemail now. But I have people want to, like, have me assess people's hair transplants through my Instagram now. I don't love doing that. I really don't. I kind of think, I kind of think that I'll talk about stuff, you know. Anyway, so this is a pretty famous, physical fitness dude. How old am I? It's like Jack LaLanne. He's like a workout guy, you know. And so I will do it because honestly, he has a good result. It's very rare, but he's only about 32 or 33 years old, and they transplanted his hairline, his mid scalp, and they put so many grafts in his crown that even if the result is good, he will not have any more hair that could be moved, where he's going to eventually need more hair in the mid-anterior scalp. There will always be that slight separation. He's got a little bit of a forelock going on that they worked around. Big fucking mistake, man, that these kids don't realize. So anyone who...
Dude, just throw some beard hair in it.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Just throw some beard hair in it.
You know, and I tell these kids, I try to tell them, and they don't want to believe it. You transplant your crown at 32, you end up with a target of hair on your head.
Yeah.
That's what happens. There's a moat around that transplanted crown. Almost 100% of the time. Not like maybe, or if you're on Medicaid. No. Do not transplant that crown unless you're much older, you've been stable for a long time. You can put a little smattering in there, you know, but not early on in your transplant life.
Yeah, I hear you.
And
Okay,
Joe,
guys.
if you disagree with me, do not say a word.
Let me. Sorry, I think I got something on the ceiling here. I need to have a look at it.
Dude, you were...
Yeah, it's there. It's
dude,
there.
come on. You were basically a hair gimp. Let's face it. You know?
I like how you threw in the... Okay, maybe not 100%.
All right, brother. Listen, good luck.
Okay.
I'm glad you called in. I'm glad you're being reasonable and you're taking our advice. You know, look, we just do the best that we can. We tell you what we know based on everyone else's fuck ups. It's like a contract. Every time you sign a contract, and especially if it's many pages long, everything in that contract happened. Acts of God happened, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there for a reason.
It's there for
not
a reason,
like,
brother.
It's like you're the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Good luck.
Yeah. Thank
Take
you
care.
guys, and keep doing the show because it's really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Take care, man. Thanks for the call.
888-659-3727. There's a line open if someone wants to call in. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Alex from San Diego.
Alex from San Diego. What's
What's
happening?
up, Alex?
I heard you guys were talking about Jude Law, so I had to call in
Yeah.
because he's my hair loss hero.
Yeah. Aren't you the guy that
Yeah.
said you look like Jude Law except for the face?
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me, baby.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
You know what? All
good.
these young kids think I'm going to lose my memory because I've been on finasteride for 30 years. That hasn't happened yet. Sharp as a tack. Yeah. Jinx. What's up?
Not much. So anyway, that's funny. I hadn't seen that interview. I got to watch that after this. I didn't realize that he had ever talked about his hair loss, but I got to check that out.
Yeah. Wasn't that surprising?
but-
Like, no one's been that candid at that level of recognition. No one's been as candid as that I know of. And, yeah, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed watching it.
Theo Vaughn's been pretty candid, but, that's a different level of fame.
Yeah, much different.
Right.
But how dare you? He's super famous now.
I like the way he talks about it, though. I had the FUE, where they moved him to the front.
It's like seeds.
Man, that
They
was
like
wild.
they seed you.
That was wild, man.
He actually had it done
my
here.
favorite.
He actually had it done here in L.A. in Beverly Hills by a guy that I know. He never applied to the IHRS. Super nice guy though. Super fancy guy. Really nice guy. And I know him because he lives behind the gates where I used to live in Calabasas.
Mm-hmm.
And but
Okay.
he never applied to the organization, so I don't know much about his work. Anyway, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, that's funny. I did see that Theo Vaughn video.
Yeah.
Hair looks good, but
You don't know
but
what
yeah,
it looks like, brother. He's got so much hair. We have no idea what the transplant
Right.
looks like.
Yeah, and he's got the mullet, so even if he goes bald on top, he can cover his scars. So
He can cover scars, or he can just comb the mullet forward.
that's right.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm rocking pretty much that identical Jude Law hair loss pattern, and it's been pretty exhausting. I got to say, trying to make it work and trying to have.
You should live with what
longer
I'm
hair.
dealing with. That's exhausting. Go ahead. I'm
Man,
sorry.
I mean, you're kind of my inspiration because you're making that work, and then so.
Well, thank you.
I mean, it kind of makes me think. Yeah, I mean, it's like, can I do that? Is there a third option? Because kind of for a long time now, the way I've seen it is I've got two options: get a hair transplant or shave my head and completely do that and own that. And both of those are such big things for me that I feel really frozen and like on the verge of having a panic attack trying to make this decision of, do I get surgery or do I do the shaved head? And so it's been really, really tough. I've shaved my head 3 times, fully embraced it, no hat, walking into parties and functions and just kind of, completely owning it. And it wasn't bad. I think it's something that if you haven't tried it, it's really, I strongly recommend considering doing that. But, it was an initial feeling of relief and like this weight had been lifted from my situation. Every time I've done that, I would go, oh, thank God. This is the answer. This is the answer I've been looking for.
But
And then the next day spawned this relapse of terror and panic.
Now,
and what have I done?
my
And-
question is, when you shaved your head and went out, did you get drunk that night and the next day you're having like anxiety?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't think I did that. I know what you're talking about, but no, I think it was just kind of looking in the mirror and seeing a different person and freaking out and then going to the safety blanket of, okay, now begins the 6-month journey of growing my hair back out where I can cover it again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened every single time. And so it's
get it.
disturbing to feel like, oh, what? Like, I thought that was supposed to be the answer. And I think there's probably a fair amount of inner work that needs to be done to get used to it. And maybe I just didn't give it enough of a chance. But anyway, it really freaked me out. And so now I feel really in between a rock and a hard place where I'm like, these are my two options.
Well, how did the people around you in your life? Do you have a girlfriend, wife, boyfriend, whatever? Do you have somebody close to you that would be honest with you?
Yeah, my friends were really supportive, and people in my life were supportive, and
like supportive, like you look great, but I would never do that. Supportive, or like really?
Yeah. I think some people kind of gave me that vibe too, where they were like, "Whoa, it's so intense looking," and I think my guy friends that are scared about their hair loss, probably, I don't know. Anyway, I mean,
like that takes balls, dude. That's what they're thinking.
I mean,
and then there are people who are actually just like fully supportive, and they probably do it themselves.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that are, and I still noticed attraction from women.
That's awesome.
Stuff like that, and so that's encouraging. I think not having this mess on top of my head, it sort of framed my face a little bit better. Just having nothing there, I might be just in a good situation for that. But even though I felt like women were maybe still attracted to me, I just didn't feel like myself. It was really like a me thing. And
how old are you now?
My identity.
Yeah,
I'm 35.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's a good age. It's better than being 25 and trying to figure this out right now. And it's really acceptable, like totally socially acceptable for a guy at your stage in life to shave their head. Mm-hmm. And if you are still feeling that you're getting, women are attracted to you, that's unbelievable, really. I mean, you win in that, because if me or Joe did it, I'm just kidding. Kidding, Joe. If I did it, I'd be doing Tai Chi in the park with a bunch of old people. But I digress. So
came from Kung Fu.
Yeah, I think I kind of understand. I mean, I totally understand how you feel, because I know that if I were to shave my head and look at myself, I would absolutely feel the same way. But the fact that you had a positive reinforcement, I think, is a great thing, and that's something that should be part of. Really, you should put that on the scale when you're weighing out having surgery, because once you're cut, brother, I don't care what they tell you. Once you're cut, you are cut. It is over. Even if somehow you get away without having any, slight deviation in the recipient area, and you could shave that down. And even if you look really, the scars are so tiny that they're unnoticeable. They're never really completely unnoticeable. So once you make that decision, shaving your head is going to be a lot different.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good to know. And that was kind of my second question was, I understand the FUE scarring and feel like it's possible to come to terms with that, because at the very least, that's not on your face.
That's true.
So, I mean, that's something. It's not something. Yeah, I mean, nobody should ignore it, in my opinion. I mean, it's a really serious thing, in my opinion. But I was really more concerned with what the recipient area might look like after surgery. This is something that I don't see talked about a lot.
That's hit or miss, really, because what does it look like? It should look relatively smooth, but it also depends on how you heal. And I have seen guys who've had work done by some really great surgeons, and even with their hair, and it grew perfectly, if you look closely at their scalp, you can see some defects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And those defects, it can have like an orange peel effect. It depends on the person too,
A lot of it does come down to healing characteristics, because I've seen close-up recipient sites that have been shaved after surgery was done using every device out there, every, blade, needle, sapphire, diamond, stainless steel, whatever has made the incisions.
Ice picks.
And ice picks, pickaxes. And there's no real rhyme or reason to it except for the variability of patient physiology. And I think that there is something to be said about the size of a wound. The bigger the wound, the more difficult it is for there to be an acceptable level of aesthetic healing when you're looking at the bigger picture. Like back in the day, if you had the mini micrographs and you had like 800 of them, which was a huge session, and the grafts were big, and so the incisions had to be big and all that, then and then you shave it down. Sure, there's definitely going to be evidence of surgery, not even so much surgery, but evidence of less than a perfect scalp. And that was across the board. But everything, all the tools now are much smaller than they used to be. And so as long as the recipient field hasn't been carpet bombed with high density front to back, and there's sufficient blood flow and the physiology is agreeable for that kind of procedure, then the outcome will be just fine, regardless of the tool. So the question you got to ask yourself going in is, when I get cut, how do I heal? Do I scar? Do I heal fine? Mm-hmm. Does it take longer than average, compared to other people I know, or is it sooner, or is it about the same? Do I have thick scar lines? Do I have wide scar lines, hypertrophic, keloid? Any of that, all that factors into it. And only you can answer that. Like, your body. You go and see a doctor and they're like, you ask them how you scar, they'll have no idea. Show them the scar. They might say, okay, yeah, what kind of cut was this? What caused it? How long ago? Okay, that's maybe about average. You should be fine. If they say maybe not so average, maybe a little bit wider than I'd expect, then maybe that's something to create pause for an actual hair transplant. Or at the very least, don't go in for a high density transplant expecting a full head of hair. There's nothing wrong with actually going in for a surgery and saying, I don't want it to be actually really thick. Maybe just do a nice even distribution with fairly low density, so I got something to style, something on top, something to frame my face as a hairline. There's nothing wrong with that. You
What
can
about
always
a
add
piece?
more later.
A rug?
What about a piece?
Toupee?
Hey,
Those words really turn people off. Why do people still say? There are people online. There's one chick called the Toupee Queen, and she's really good. I mean, nothing wrong with her. It's a cool page. I love the fact that there are guys out there willing to put themselves out, especially young guys.
that's amazing.
But toupee, God Almighty! There's a reason why Cy Sperling, decided to call it a hair system. It was genius. But anyway, I mean, would you ever think about wearing some sort of a partial, or instead of getting surgery, seeing if you like that?
I guess you got to consider everything, but I've always been kind of, scarred by the Andre Agassi effect, if you know what I'm talking about.
Well, that guy had a full-on situation going. It was falling apart before like a Grand Slam at Wimbledon. Yeah. I mean, it was a bad situation for him. So he has PTSD. If it wasn't for that, he still may be wearing it.
True. It was a very active profession, but that kind of turned me off from it. I mean, just the idea of trying to keep up appearances. If I was the type of person where I was very open and I just said, yeah, I'm a hair system guy, and this is like, I love this, that would be a different story. I just don't think I'm that kind of guy.
That's fair.
But ultimately, I guess the last thing I want to add, and I'll give the line over to someone else, is that just this whole surgical route has been very tempting because when I style my hair in a way, using Topic or whatever that makes it look like I have a good framing of my face with my hairline, it's really tough to say, oh no, maybe I can't have that, because I kid you not, I look 2 or more points more attractive. Like, it is so much better. It's really tough to let go of that.
I understand.
Very, very tough.
Yeah, 100%.
And so that's why I've considered surgery. But
Dude, if I had
I'm
my
also
hairline
horrified.
lowered to the point where I could comb it back and like maybe
Yeah.
just use gel, dude, I'd be smoking. Ridiculous for a
Yeah.
man my age. But I just don't do it. Joe's
You're
like,
still smoking, man.
Joe's like, shut up, man. But yeah, I mean, thank you, by the way. You know, no homo. But I get it, brother. You know, I mean, you're 35 too, and you know, you sound like you do fine with women, and this is just something really personal for you that you want to do for yourself. So
Yeah.
I totally get it. You know, you have the scales. You know, you're able to balance them now. You understand the reality of this surgery. The majority of guys that I see on my Instagram feed, they don't know shit. I got some pro wrestler from like Wales or Australia on my ass. He's all bent out of shape because I'm just telling kids the truth. You know?
Yeah, man.
He's in Wales?
I think he's in Wales. I think this poor guy wants every young guy to have a hairline that looks like it was made in a Chinese doll factory. I don't know why. So,
that caught me.
Brutal.
Yeah.
anyway, brother, listen, good luck. It's always nice hearing from you. Feel free to call us anytime, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm glad you're not jumping into anything. Listen, I'm going to say try not to have anxiety about it. It's tough to not have anxiety about stuff, but you need to become zen with the choice. Like you have a choice, and knowing the potential pitfalls of surgery and knowing where to go, how to do it, maybe just do it conservatively. You have a much greater chance of having a successful outcome, knowing what you know, if you choose to go that route.
Thank you. That's definitely encouraging. But yeah, thanks, guys.
Okay,
Appreciate
man.
the airtime and
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, good luck. Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Good morning, Spencer and Joe. It's Graham from Melbourne, Australia. How are you?
Well, Graham, what's happening, man?
What's up, my friend?
I heard you
Graham
talking
has a normal job during the week, and on the weekends he goes to the Philippines, becomes a rock star.
That's right.
That's right, and that's why I need my hair back, because those bright lights on the crown just it's the worst look in the world. Anyway,
Yeah.
I heard you talking about me, and I'm pretty offended, Spencer,
You
about
should be.
something you just said before.
What's that?
You said I was a Norwood 7.
Oh,
A
you're
Norwood 7.
You're Norwood 6.
I
5?
don't know. I have to ask Adrian. Adrian knows the truth. I talk from Adrian from Melbourne all the time, and he knows the truth, what I really am. He knows the truth, what Norwood scale I am.
What are you? I don't know. What, you shave your head all the time. I can't tell.
You were a 6. You were a 6.
A 6. I'm offended. I think I'm going to have to get Adrian to back me up. But anyway,
Okay,
what you want to know about it?
You're a Norwood 19. Okay, you happy?
Tell us.
Yeah, that's better. At least that's
Tell,
perfect.
tell us what you were. Tell us what you were before you took this drug, because now you're like a 3, like a 2.5, 3. Like with a full, it looks like your hair looks so full, it's ridiculous.
Let me go back to the start. Well, I watched one of Joe's videos where he was talking to the doctor from Melbourne about oral minoxidil, and they were saying that I even gave it to babies. I remember on your show, Joe, you said something up to like a 3-year-old child or something for some reason. And I thought, well, it can't be that bad sort of thing. And so I went out and got a script for it, and I tried it at 2.5 milligrams. And I basically didn't get really much response, but I noticed that my beard was growing like a freight train, and that was a bit annoying. And I thought, I'll give it a miss. What am I doing, sort of thing. And anyway, then I got talking to Adrian from Melbourne, and he said, Graham, you should try it at 5 milligrams. So I tried it at 5 milligrams, and then I'm looking in the mirror and I'm ringing up Adrian saying, there's a lot of hair coming through, Adrian. I don't know what's going on, if it's vellus hair or what the hell's going on, but it looks like I'm growing hair back. And he goes to me, well, grow it longer, Graham, see what's going on, see what you actually have got there. So I went through that sort of a painful stage of, when you're growing it and you're going, oh, this is looking a bit ordinary sort of thing. And I decided to just clip it every week at a number 3. And then I went to a number 4. And within like about 4 months, you can see the regrowth that I've had. And if you have a look, Joe, I just sent you a photo then. I took that photo about, 25 minutes ago. It's out on my balcony.
I'm going to show the before image right there. Okay,
yeah.
So this was from, I don't know how long ago this was, Graham, that you sent this to me. I think it was maybe a year or two, maybe a couple years ago.
Yep.
And like that shows a classic Norwood 6, a little bit of diffused. You still had some growth on top, but it was really, really thin and dispersed there, very fine. And then this is what we got now that you sent me. I'm gonna switch over. Boom! My God,
That's insane, really.
And
that's amazing.
That growth there, I can style that anyway. That's not just I really have to fight it to get it to look good. It's naturally that good. That whole front section. I'm sort of joking with people when I pull my hat off. I go, look, I've got a hair transplant, sort of thing, and people are freaking out. It really, and that's from medication. What you guys always say, try medication before anything. It's medication.
Yeah. It's also from medication from a guy who, I don't know how old you are, but who's been balding for a very long time.
I started balding probably when I was 19. My crown was gone, like thinning, probably 19, 20.
How old are you now, Graham?
And I'll be 52 in February.
Okay, so you essentially have been balding for 35 years or whatever. Don't make me do math.
Correct.
And so I mean, the fact that you were able to get this result after so many years it's unbelievable. You know what? And these kids don't believe it. These kids, they want to jump right into surgery. They cannot wait a year just to see how they do on medication, or 2 years. Or they're just afraid to take it.
A year. I look at taking finasteride or taking oral minoxidil. Most people take a daily vitamin tablet a day to think it does something, which is probably a waste of money anyway because they've got those vitamins in there from foods. But you look at it in that sense, say it's like a daily vitamin I take. It's nothing. It's the easiest thing in the world you can do to save your hair is take 1 tablet a day or 2 tablets a day. It's nothing.
Well, what's great about these drugs, what's great about this particular drug, it is definitely a significant growth stimulator. Now, to maintain that growth, we still don't know how long we can maintain that type of growth using these oral minoxidil, but we do know that at the very least, if you can stimulate that type of growth and then maintain it with taking both oral and oral finasteride, I mean, that could last for a very long time, especially if you're younger. And, it could last decades.
And what's interesting is, Graham, I put your image back up here that you also sent where you're showing your crown. Remember, you're asking about the vellus hairs in the crown.
Yes.
The image that we're seeing here really shows how strong and terminal those hairs are on top, and the vertex and moving forward. Those hairs look just as thick and healthy as the hairs on someone that's never lost their hair. That's what blows my mind on this, and that's the real your crown. I do see a lot of vellus hairs there that can continue to thicken with additional usage of or maybe even up your dose. Who knows? But those could still eventually thicken up. But I got to tell you, this is a classic example of what we're talking about when we are trying to tell people not to rush into surgery, because if you were to look at surgery before, you'd be looking at 6,000, 7,000 grafts that you'd need for decent coverage. Now, I mean, you're in a position where you just saved half the grafts.
Oh shit! That reminds me of this kid Zeph, who was offered this surgery, jumped into it. You know,
Yeah.
he was really only treating his hair loss for what, a year, 2 years maybe, and just started using like heavy hitting, you know, real oral medication relatively recently. It's so possible that he would have grown back a significant amount of hair. At the very least, if he went through surgery, he could have had maybe 1,500, 2,000 grafts that would have made a really nice, solid hairline for him. And he wouldn't have needed so many grafts moved. And for any physician not to say, listen, brother, you just started oral medication. Let's give this a year. You know, let's plan for a year from now to have the surgery. But that's not how he was advised. He could have responded like Graham.
And
Very
the
possible.
thing is, I was kind of like your first caller, thinking, now you see all that come back. So I thought to myself, I'll send a photo off to a clinic. And they said to me, for my crown, they quoted about 3,000 grafts because it's so tempting to get the crown done because it's always the thing that's been bothered me more than the front. I'm not too worried about this very low hairline or anything like that. I know it wouldn't suit my age, but it's so tempting to get something done. But yeah, they said about 3,000 grafts.
Yeah, dude, let me tell you something. You grew so much hair. No one's looking at your crown. How tall are you?
I'm about 5'8".
Okay. So you're tall enough where most women aren't going to see the top of your head. And
Yes. I'm not. It's not even about the women or anyone. It's more for myself. I think I hear a lot of guys talking, and I understand this. They talk about will the women be attracted to me when I'm bald? I don't. It's never been that. It's always been about feeling good within yourself. I think when you're doing things for other people, you're in a bad situation.
No, listen, I completely agree. And obviously it is everything I do is for myself. Look, even if I and shaved my head and looked like Kane from Kung Fu, I'm sure I'd get laid by someone, you know? I mean, that's just the way that it is, you know? But I don't want, I want to save as much hair as I can for as long as I can. I've gotten to this point. I've used, partials, little yarmulke things, cut stuff out, glued that shit on my head, gave that a shot. The Durmatch and the hairspray really works wonders for me, so I stick with that. But if it ever comes to the point where I lose more hair, and God forbid, I know I have options, whether it's wearing, whether it's surgery, and there's so many kids out there, they don't understand the real options that they have. I have oral minoxidil in my back pocket.
Unbelievable.
What was that?
The options are unbelievable today
compared
to what we had back in the early 90s. I only had minoxidil. There wasn't finasteride wasn't on the market
when
yet.
I started going bald, Rogaine wasn't even approved, not even 2%.
Yeah, correct.
I had people who were willing to do transplants with like a hammer and chisel.
No,
that's how old I am.
Doctor's last names was Rubble.
Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Rubble.
Yeah. I had a company that was, I almost signed on a dotted line. They were going to sew a hairpiece into my scalp. They were going to sew
what happened to me?
a hairpiece into my scalp.
With tunnels. Oh.
Go ahead.
Barbaric.
Well, you got ripped off. You just got ripped off with one of these shitty like club type of places.
Exactly.
And they just glued a wig on. They shaved your head and glued a wig on it. They turn you around in a chair.
No, they actually used those little bead clips, and it was really, really painful.
Really?
Because it didn't sit right. So they tried to tighten it. So you can imagine when you're pulling your hair on the side of your head. Because they're trying to get it to fit to your scalp better.
I mean, the old hair club trick. And listen, let Cy Sperling rest in peace. We became friends in his later years. But the whole trick was, they didn't want to tell you what this was that they were selling you. It was a strand by strand process. No one knew what
Don't
the hell.
call it a wig.
Exactly the
Yeah,
same.
no one knew what the hell they were buying. And then once your strand by strand process was ready to be installed, in quotes, you went to the office, and they usually had hot, like hairstylists doing it, and they're like, "We're gonna have to clip your hair a little bit, just around here." They turn you around so you're not looking at the mirror, and they're doing their work, and they turn you around, and you got this mound of hair in your head that they have to cut. And then you look on the floor, and all your hair's on the floor. Because they basically shorn it all off. They shaved your shit.
Yeah. But with scissors. They don't pull out clippers. They just use scissors and get it really short.
And then it's just these kids feel like they're stuck because they're like walking around, they're 25 years old, walking around like Bozo the Clown. And they're stuck under his
I
hairpiece.
lasted like I told you. I don't know if you remember. It was no more than 2 weeks, and I said, "This is not for me." And I had it removed straight away. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I love the transparency though of today's hair system. People, and I love what's going on online. And I see some shitty work done. I really do. I mean, I got to pay even from some well-known influencers. I mean, they're not finessing the hairlines for these kids. They're just kind of throwing it, a factory stock unit on their heads, and they're not finessing the hairlines. But at least they're open about it, what it is.
Yeah.
These kids could do a lot better for themselves, but they let's put it this way: the option for kids now to look good with a hairpiece is available to them, unlike in our day.
And you can see that on YouTube as well, because what I like about YouTube and Instagram as well is I follow some accounts where it's only about wigs, and YouTube and specifically, it's how to live with one, and he actually evaluates different.
Dude, you called it a wig.
Different brands. Yeah, but it's great. It's great, and some of them look really good. Some of them look terrible. There's one I watch where every reel is them taking the handle of a rat tail comb, and they're actually lifting up the hairline along and going through the part line and lifting it to show you that it looks so good. They have to show you it's actually a unit. You know, it's really cool. I actually get a kick out of watching those.
The thing is, one thing I think is a little deceptive is if they don't necessarily show the units. A real giveaway with the units is the back. I shouldn't touch myself. That's bad luck. But in the back, that's a real giveaway, because if it's not integrated perfectly, there's always like a little bit of a flip. Sometimes you can see, even if their hairlines are done really well. I don't know why they can't fix that. I would design something different, but I would never get into that business because, Jesus, what a pain in the ass that is. And now dealing with China, no fucking way. Who knows if there's even going to be a hair business soon?
Yeah, good point.
So, but Graham, you are one persistent and lucky dude.
Patient.
You've been through hell and back, and you chose not to have a transplant at a time when I think you wanted one for a while. When you first started,
I went through it. Probably you gave me some great advice, saying just hang about. They're always going to be there. You said to me, don't rush. You don't need to rush. They're always going to be there.
Yeah.
And now I can really see as clear as day. I'm 51. The longer you leave it, the better off you're going to be. And my hair loss is stable now. I know where I'm at, and this is. Don't panic. If you're in your 20s, don't panic even if you're in your 30s, because you just don't know what's around the corner, what can help you.
Well, Graham, listen, man, I appreciate the call.
Well
I'm happy for you. You look fantastic, by the way. So,
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Really happy for you. Really happy for you.
Congratulations, and we appreciate the call.
Thank you, Joe. And one last thing, Spencer, I want to say to you.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm a bit of a Kiss fan. Your crown on your head is like seeing Kiss without makeup in the 70s. No one had seen Kiss without makeup in the 70s. I still, to this day, have not seen the crown on your head, Spence.
Well, but remember when Kiss took off their makeup and how like everything changed?
Yeah.
Yeah, their record sales fell.
Yeah.
The mystery was gone.
You know? So, I mean, you know,
That's what your crown is, Spencer, and you're from New York, so I think that's why.
When I retire, like, you know how, like,
Ted,
Ted, I don't know if you remember the show Cheers, but when Ted Danson's last show, he took off he had a yarmulke hairpiece.
Yes.
I'm going to just come out unpainted.
Yeah. Hey, Spencer, I think you better look around. There's a spider on your back of your wall I can see at the moment. I think you better look around.
All right, brother. Take it easy, man.
On that note, I'll leave you alone. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
brother.
callers. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for calling, Graham. Good
Take
hearing
care,
from
guys.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
What do you call it? He didn't call it makeup. What do you call it?
Shit, I'm getting old. I forgot.
It was a funny word, man.
I don't know. I think it was Australian slang. I don't know.
It was like, not tar.
I don't know. But great to hear from him. And my God, what a great medical result. Great medical turnaround. And, you know, it reminds me of, I've talked about this many times on the show, 20 years ago when a guy from Tasmania literally hopped on a plane and flew to Vancouver to show me, not the doctors, but to show me the result of his transition from a Norwood 6 to basically a Norwood 2, a full Norwood, like strong Norwood 2, using only medication. And
it was probably Minoxidil, right?
It was 10 milligrams of, it was actually called Lonitin, which is the original name of it. Back then, they still, I think they still called it Lonitin back then.
Well, it was a name brand. It was still manufacturing it.
Yeah, like that was still around. And then some witch's potion herbal, you know, accompaniment that the company was mainly selling that and a tablet of Lonitin. That was the program. And damned if it didn't work. Like, worked to the point where it was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen. And still, like, on record, I wish I had, I couldn't take him from the clinic, but yeah, just amazing turnaround. The single most amazing medical turnaround I've ever seen. And this is in that category. It's not quite as full because the crown came back on this guy, but you never know with Graham. Like, the time is short. He hasn't been on this for very long. So there's hope.
Look, if I ever get on gear like the UK Australian wrestler who's been trolling me, I would absolutely, like, I'd go full blown, you know, oral minoxidil, up my finasteride, you know, if I ever decide to get on gear.
Yep.
Which is possible. I don't know. Like, I still haven't hit the wall that I'm aware of. I noticed my physique has changed. Like, the skin has changed for sure now that I'm getting older. Mm-hmm. But I know, like, a little testosterone, man, just like a little, like, even level of testosterone, exogenous, you know. Like, it's funny how when you ask people if they take steroids, they're like, oh, I'm just on TRT. I'm on an anti-aging protocol. Those are steroids, brother. You're on gear. Yeah. That's just what, it's okay. Just, that's what it is. It doesn't matter how, I laugh. No matter, if you have a guy with the exact same testosterone number compared to a guy with the same testosterone number who's on gear, just on testosterone, he's going to have a harder, stronger, more swelled up physique because his testosterone level is always the same as opposed to yours ebbing and flowing, like when you sleep or if you drink, stuff like that.
Yep.
I'm just jealous.
Interesting.
I'm just jealous. I would like to do. I'm not. I'd hope this doesn't sound obnoxious, but I know what I would look like if I was on gear. It would be fucking sick. I'd be like 27 again. At least my physique. Because you could work to that point even without it, where you're almost there, but you're almost like a deflated balloon.
Yeah.
At this age.
This would put you at the over the edge on that.
Yeah.
To where you are back in that
You're no longer. You don't have that deflated balloon, wrinkled, fucking upper arms. What? Let's see who this is.
That make your work look
unbelievable. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Omar from Israel. How are you?
Hey, brother. What's going on?
Omar, what's up, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. And you?
Very good. Thank you. Good to hear from you.
I'm not well.
The same. the same. The reason I'm calling, actually, last time I called you a few months ago, I was telling you I did my first surgery with Dr. Sethi. Now I'm 2 years after the surgery. And if you remember, I told you I'm not quite happy with the results. Like, I would lie if I will say it didn't help. Like, I look much better, no doubt. But if you zoom in to my results, like, there is a lot of wrong angulation. Like, I'm thinking sometimes, what the hell was he thinking, putting this graft in this position, for example? And not to mention that some hair is simply didn't grow. Like, I see the pictures few days after the surgery, and I see that, he transplanted hair in certain areas, and I look at those areas and I see no hair. Like, it's very big areas.
Who did the work?
Like,
was it Sethi himself?
Sethi himself the first day, and the second day only his team. And my question for you, both of you, you endorse this doctor, and I was talking with him back and forth, and like, I told him the last time we were talking, like, listen, I'm not happy with the results, and he offered me a touch-up, but I didn't want to go with that because I saw the results the first time. I put my trust on him the first time, and I'm not willing to take any risk. Like, I need to think about my donor management, and I'm not willing to take any risk with, I tried his approach first time.
Now, let me ask you a question. You're absolutely right. I would do the exact same thing as you. I would not, if I came away and I didn't have the results that I wanted, the offering of a touch-up to me is not the way to go. It just isn't. It doesn't matter how great the doctor is or clinic. It doesn't matter. I don't know what his team was like that day when he was not working on you. I have no clue. And that's why we try to tell, at least I do, I know Joe does, we try to tell people, look, there's a handful of physicians worldwide who are really skilled at what they do, who at least have a lower number of complaints. They have the facilities and the infrastructure to provide a state-of-the-art hair transplant. But there's not a patient, there's not a doctor who is either, accepted into the IHRS or who Joe has worked with in the past or present that doesn't have a patient like you who believes they've been fucked up in some way. That is the reality of cosmetic surgery. So it sucks. And I feel terrible that you're dealing with this, but I have a couple of questions for you. So do you think, given your let's explain to me the first day of the procedure compared to the second day of the procedure, and was there anything that you felt was rushed or done inappropriately that you were able to tell during the days of the procedure?
First of all, the main issue was I wired the payment via bank transfer, and usually I do it a lot from my work. Usually it takes like 2 business days, and for some reason to India it took more than a week. Like, the day I arrived, I already wired the payment like a week ago, and they told me in the clinic, listen, we still didn't receive the payment, so they had to delay my surgery in 1 day. So I assume that, it kind of blew their plans, maybe with certain times and certain teams to work on me. So they delayed my surgery in 1 day. So first day, it was in the afternoon. We started, and doctor said he just, made the incision in my head. To tell you something, I flew to him for a consultation. I met him face to face, and he told me one thing when we met. And in the day of the surgery, the one major thing that was different was he decided to do my temporal points. And thinking, I like how it shaped my face. It's nice, but now I see that the density is so low that it is so, for my opinion, in my opinion, it was such a dumb decision by the doctor, because I see my density in my head, and you need to leave it to the end, in future surgeries. Now you need to focus on nice density and, leave it for future surgeries. I think that was not a smart decision by the doctor. I was just a lot of people say trust your doctor, and so I try to do it, but eventually,
Omar, let me cut you off. Let me cut you off just for a second, Omar, because I want to get some clarification. So you're saying that he made a bad decision. What decision was that? Was that to create temple points or reinforce your temple points? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. And is it because you think that the grafts that were used for the temple points should have been used for the rest of the work, so that the density would be better? Is that okay? Fair enough. Yeah.
Yes.
So was the surgery, the graft count, was that higher, lower, or roughly the same as what was estimated to be the graft count? In other words, did the graft count change because he added the temple points?
Yes. The temple points required 1,500 grafts, which is quite a lot. If you put it in my scalp, that would add a lot of density. Yes, so this wasn't smart, in my opinion, to do it in the first surgery. If I have enough grafts for future, then fine. I would lie if I don't like it. It shaped my face really nicely. The thing is also that, the angles in some in the temporal points is not right. Some are sticking out, the angles in a lot of places. Not only the temporal points, by the way, also in my hairline, which is the most visible, part. A lot of it, it doesn't look right. When I comb my hair forward, it doesn't look right.
Okay, fair enough. So, and just to be clear, I don't work with Dr. Seti anymore. That's been about 2 months now. I won't go into the exact reasons why, but I feel like there's some judgment calls he could have made differently. But and this is just going based on what you're telling us, and forgive me for not being more specific, but it is just through vocal expression that you're telling us what's going on. But first off, the issue of going back to the same surgeon, I think that's dependent on the situation. I don't have a blanket yes or no across the board. If a patient's unhappy, why is that? And has the doctor acknowledged, was it like pulling teeth to get the doctor to acknowledge that there was an issue? Or did you say, hey, I'm not happy, and explain why, and then send pictures, and then him saying, and this is in general for anyone, and then did the doctor say, oh, you know what, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm really sorry that happened. I would like to fix this because I too agree that this is not a good result. Was it something like that, or was it Was it difficult
No,
to get
no,
him
no.
to acknowledge?
It was very difficult to get him to acknowledge. I spoke with him during those 2 years post-surgery quite some time, a few times, and I sent him a lot of pictures. And, you know, in the last conversation, I sent him so many pictures. He just, you know, we were talking on WhatsApp, and he was just showing me one picture, and he said, oh, this picture is not right, like it's not clear, but you have so many other pictures. You spoke with me on a video chat, you know, you had so many opportunities to see my hair. He asked me to send him few times a picture, like he's thinking I'm stupid or something. Like, you know, my intelligence is, you know, like I'm stupid. This is what I feel. Like he's trying to just brush it off, you know.
Well,
this was my
what he's trying to do ineffectively is to manage you. And you know, I find these doctors who are, you know, there are doctors who are very effective at, you know, providing the right amount of empathy, understanding, also taking responsibility if something is not actually right. Besides, responsibility is the fact beyond just offering a touch up. You know?
Sorry to cut you. You just say, oh, maybe maybe it's because you stop using oral minoxidil. Maybe this, maybe that. But he never acknowledged that. Okay, this is the results. This is my fault. Something went wrong. He never acknowledged this, and this is, you know, pissed me off. And like he's acting like I'm stupid, and he's just wasting time more and more. Like he's answering me. He doesn't ignore me, but he doesn't give me like a clear, you know, something that I can, you know, rely on. Like he doesn't.
Yeah, no,
okay,
of course, and
like,
and it is important for there to be consistency in communication. And I just want to be clear on this. You know, playing devil's advocate. And this isn't just for you, Omar. This is for everyone. And I don't know what the situation is with regards to your medical intake, but when you have a surgery and you are on medication, you are on oral or topical minoxidil, oral or topical finasteride, or both, or any combination, and you have a surgery, and then after surgery, you change your medical routine. That there can and has been a lot of problems associated with that can alter the outcome of the surgery, because the surgery is performed assuming a baseline that they're working with, that's going to remain consistent. Now, I'm not talking specifically about your case, so I don't know what happened, but I do feel like if a doctor says, well, you know, I feel like the result would have been better had you stuck with the medication, there's a lot of legitimacy to that, because whatever, you know, a doctor has done as far as a surgery, they are counting on your hair to remain there based on your medical regimen. I hope that makes sense. And I'm not criticizing you. I'm just telling you I'm just telling you the way that it should be, and that doctors should encourage it to be for their patients to stick with the medication no matter what, because a year or 2 years later, if you stop the medication, it's actually a legitimate concern for the doctor to come up with, to say, why did you stop taking the medication? Like, if you had native hair and now you don't have native hair and a transplant has to stand on its own, then of course it's going to look thinner. Again, not talking about your specific case, because I don't know how that affected your outcome, but I think it's important for people listening or watching this to understand that. I've run into this myself when I'm dealing with patients a year later. They come back and say, yeah, it's not as full as I thought. And it's like, well, are you still taking your medication? No. And you look through and all their native hair is gone. So, of course, it's going to look thinner. But back to your case specifically, I think that if you had to, like you said, it feels like you're pulling teeth with the doctor to admit that there's a problem. And density aside, we can talk about the gaps in the placement where maybe there was some poor growth, or like you're talking about with the misangled placement of grafts, to where they grew out in angles that you feel are unnatural. Then I completely understand your concerns, because I've been there myself. I've had that bad work done, and brother, I know how bad it feels. It sucks because you feel self-conscious about it, especially if it's in the hairline area to where you can't hide it. You know, if it's up front. So, you know, I'm glad you answered the questions, and thank you for telling me all this. Because these kind, you know, I'm not working with him anymore, but I still like to hear this stuff, regardless of which doctor it is. But, you know, in your case, I think it does make sense to move on to someone else because you need to have a fresh set of eyes looking at the situation.
Yeah,
And
that was going to be my next question. Have you actually taken the opportunity to have a consult with anybody else to kind of reinforce your concerns?
Yes. But yes, I spoke with another doctor. I'm thinking going forward. But before talking about that, I just wanted to ask you: is it possible for me to send you pictures so you see exactly what I'm talking about? And second question: is it possible for you to assist me maybe to get some kind of a compensation? I don't say full refund, but something, because the results are not as it should be. And I asked the doctor for compensation. He's not willing to give nothing. The only thing is touch up, and I'm not willing to take any risk. My donor is more valuable than money. And, you know, it's not that I have the unlimited source of money, but it's more valuable, and I'm not willing to take any risk or chances anymore with this doctor.
Now, have you told the doctor that you're going to be calling into the broadcast to express your concerns?
It's not his business. It's not his business. I don't feel I need to consult him to ask him if I should call or not.
No. I'm not saying you need to ask him. I'm asking if you told him, not ask. You don't need to ask shit.
No, nothing. No.
Okay. Well, now he knows.
I didn't.
Now he
Probably,
knows.
I don't care.
So there's
for me, I don't care.
What I'm trying to help you here, brother. Now he knows.
Yeah.
And what that means is there is probably a greater likelihood that you will be able to, you know, depending on your situation, negotiate some degree of compensation. Well, not compensation, but if you wanted to get some degree of refund because you're very unhappy, all you do is have to express to him that, look, this is really bad. I'm very, very unhappy, and I am, speaking to other doctors. Let me ask you this question: did another doctor tell you and agree with your assessment of your situation?
I guess so. I spoke with a well-known doctor.
Who?
Actually, Dr. Cole.
Well, then I'm sure if you spoke to Dr. Cole, he probably made you feel really bad about yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, he told me, I don't know if I want to share, I don't know if it's, he said it on a personal level, but he said he knew Dr. Sethi and he said some things, and I'm not sure I should say it, for everyone to
say it.
To know out there.
It's fun. Say it.
I don't know. Of course it's fun, but, eventually I want to, I consider Dr. Cole for my next surgeon, so I just want to keep good relations, and my options
well, good luck.
Open.
Good luck with that, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck with keeping good relations. But listen, I totally get your point. I would suggest, just so that I'm sure Joe wants to see it, and I'd love to take a look. Send your pictures to Joe. We're certainly.
Where can I send it? Which email? Where?
Do you no email? Do you follow me on Instagram?
I don't follow, but I think I wrote you.
You don't
once,
follow me on Instagram, and you want my help, and you don't even follow me on Instagram. Man, have you subscribed to my YouTube channel? Do you subscribe to me on YouTube?
I'm not so maybe. Maybe I need to check.
Oh my God! You want free help and no follows, no subscriptions,
and he wants us to get his money back for him.
And he wants to help you get your money back. My God! Selfish.
Okay. I will do it after this call. I promise you. No,
I know I know the numbers, buddy. I want to see Omar from Israel following you on social media.
Look, send the images to Joe. This is the reality. Mm-hmm. There have been some issues that have come up lately. There's a tremendous amount of volume being done in the clinic, in my view, and given the volume, most of the people are pretty happy with the surgery. However, there are people like you that exist, and that kind of gives me pause. I've said this before. The doctor was kind of irritated at how they thought I was being abrupt or disrespectful. I was just being honest, So
it's kind of his character. Yeah, I get it. Now I know him, so I kind of get it. Yes.
So he understands how I feel, and my hope is that stories like yours, us being able to see the images, maybe being in communication with them, I'll see if I could at some point speak to Dr. Seti. We'll see.
Please, because he doesn't listen to me. I tried, and he's not willing to, send any payments back.
I can't. I have to be honest with you. I am not in the business of getting people refunds. For years, I worked to make that happen for people, and I can tell you this: almost every time, I'm not saying this would happen with you, it blew up in my face. It was never a good ending. No good deed goes unpunished in this industry.
I actually, the same way. I've not been in the business of, call it what you will, in the practice of getting refunds, because a couple reasons. One, I think that in almost the vast majority of cases out there, I don't think a refund is warranted, and here's why. The way that I've been saying this for over 20 years. Surgery is the last resort. Trying everything but surgery. Why? Because once you're cut, and you can't go back. And it means, and I stole that from Spencer. I stole it from Spencer, and I'm fine admitting that because it's a good one. But the reason why I believe in that line is because it means so much more than what it sounds like on the surface. What it means is you are taking a risk. No two ways about it. You are taking a risk, because in surgery, and I've been talking to my doctors about this more so than recently, or more so than usual, about how they should not offer any sort of guarantee except for their best effort. Because when you offer a guarantee with surgery, you are guaranteed to fail as a clinic for at least some patients. And when you fail those patients after giving them a guarantee, then the patients are pissed and they want a refund. Just rightfully so. Actually, I feel like if there is a guarantee, then maybe the patient should be granted a refund, because you guaranteed that it would be fine, and it's not. And when a clinic says money back guarantee, or sorry, here's the line. We guarantee every graft will grow or your money back, or some sort of full or partial refund. Then that's not a guarantee. It's a guarantee that something could go wrong. And this is what they'll do if it happens. So in other words, there's nothing saying that it will be perfect every time. You understand what I'm saying? It's like it's a play on words, and you are the one. You're the one that suffers for it. And so I feel like I feel like a guarantee should be nothing short or nothing more than a guarantee of a best effort with any surgery.
I understand.
Period.
I understand that.
So, there have been cases. Let me finish. There have been cases, or there was a case recently. I've not talked about this, but there was a case recently where there was a patient. He was on a platform that I don't like to talk about because it's a cesspool of misinformation and just pure vile hatred. But this guy was on this platform, and I saw his problem, and I saw how he was being dragged through the mud because of a bad decision. And the story that he had with the clinic that he was dealing with, it's a Turkish clinic. I don't work with them, but I've known who they are for quite a while. They're fairly famous. I actually reached out to this guy. I got the details of his case, and I felt like I might be able to help. So I actually did reach out to the clinic, and I was dealing with the named doctor, and he turned out to be a very reasonable guy. And it took about 5 months. I actually got this guy's money back.
Wow.
I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but it worked out. You want to know how that turned out?
How?
I'm sure I know.
After that happened, this kid was on my ass to help him with every other doctor that he was going to go to. After I told him he shouldn't have more surgery, he couldn't get past that and actually had 2 more surgeries with 2 different doctors. And then after the third doctor, his third surgery overall, the second one after the first one where I helped him get a refund, I told him, I said, look, I told you not to do this. I don't think it's in your best interest to go back and try to fix any perceived problems that you think you have. He told me straight up, because you know my case so well, you have to understand that it is your duty before God to approach this doctor and help me. And that's when I blocked him on social media. That's when I blocked all messages from him, because he's absolutely full of shit.
Yeah.
And that made me feel so bad. Like, after what I did for him, I wasn't going for recognition. I wasn't going for, him to go online and say, "Hey, Joe did this. Joe really helped me." I wasn't going for any of that.
Look, so
I also wasn't going for him to flip on me and just lose his damn mind.
Look,
like
what Joe's trying to explain is we've been doing this for so long, and especially at the beginning of our careers. And I'm going to just give you a few brief examples before we go and get the info. You can send Joe your pictures and we'll talk more. But many years ago, there's a guy came into my studio, 1999. I was still doing the show out of New York on WOR radio. I had already spoken to Dr. Ray Woods about the Woods technique, which is now FUE. Guy came in who got really screwed. His name was Len. I'm not going to give you his last name. Really screwed by the industry, walking around with like 4mm plugs, just effed up. And he was trying to do everything he could to alert people, and the guy was a pretty wealthy guy. Long story short, I told him about this doctor in Australia that might be able to help him, might be able to fix him where other doctors were unable to fix him. He was repaired to the point where he was able to live a normal life. Okay? Totally changed his life.
An amazing turnaround.
Totally changed his life. Then, he was then all of a sudden he was concerned that I brought on a doctor onto my organization who he believed was obviously, this is a guy, I'm not going to name his name, was doing bad work, except this guy was doing bad work years ago, because back when this guy started, they were doing plugs. Anyway, long story short, this guy vehemently came after me online. It was relentless. It was insane. I changed his life. And that's one of countless stories. Just one other story, which is interesting. This wasn't that bad, but it was still like, Jesus. Woman gets a bad hair transplant in Toronto. I think it was Toronto. Contacts me. This doctor I had nothing to do with this doctor. She's desperate. She's suicidal. She needs help. I'm like, shit, let me see if I can help this guy.
Wow.
Let me see if I can help this woman. Contact person Joe was working for. And I'm like, listen, brother, give this girl a free hair transplant. Let's repair this person. We'll give you a little press, whatever, hook her up. She didn't even have any money. I paid for her flight across the country to go to Vancouver. The doctor did his best to fix her. Didn't work out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
You can't even imagine the shit that I had to deal with after that.
Yep.
And these are just two stories of, especially the beginning of my career. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was out there. I was adjudicating for people. Another guy who went to a guy in Arizona, felt he didn't get his just desserts, wanted me to get him a refund, whatever it is. I did whatever I could. I think there was some sort of money exchange. It wasn't enough, though. Wasn't enough. This guy went online to destroy not just the doctor, but attempt to destroy me. Now, I do what I do. I don't, I was lucky enough to earn money at a young age, and it doesn't affect my business or my life, but it's still nuts. So these are the experience that we have. Not saying that you would ever do anything like that, brother, but I'm just saying we have to walk this tightrope with extreme caution. And we're not in the business of getting people refunds, not just for the reason Joe pointed out, which is a very good reason, by the way.
Yeah, I totally understand your position and where you're coming from, and still I appreciate your information and knowledge. And sorry that you went all this nightmare, both of you. A lot of people relies on you, and you are like they're kind of a savior of a lot of guys that don't trust anybody anymore.
I wish that we could do more and not be vilified when things don't turn out 100% like some of these patients wanted. Like it's really.
What about the nonprofit repair program? Remember that one, Joe?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I actually set up a repair program for patients that actually needed real help and couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. Boy, that blew up hard. I won't even go to the story about that one, but that made me really learn to hate humans.
I started a thing where you could sponsor, instead of just doing like wigs for kids type of thing, or you could actually sponsor a kid who's dealing with cancer, alopecia. You have no idea the animals that got involved. You can't help people. You can't. When it comes to the hair world, you cannot actually do anything to help people except give them the information that we're giving people, and they have to make all their own decisions. The doctors that are in this industry, what are we going to do? It's now over 3,000. I'd have to do a count. In 23 years, over 3,000 guys want to give me a check every month. I can't take them on board. So we have, 60 doctors sometimes? Sometimes it was 70. It really depends. Some people died. We have to remove people. I have to limit this. And then even within that group of people, there are guys like you who've been fucked up or who believe they've been fucked up. That is this industry.
And trust us, we feel you. We feel your pain. I certainly do, because I've been there myself. But my advice to my advice to most people that have had the unfortunate circumstance of a less than perfect outcome, count your blessings, it's not worse, and move on to the next doctor to actually put you into a place where you feel better about the outcome. I don't think people should pursue the refund path, because it makes things worse, in my view, for everyone involved. It's very rare that you get them. If you do, then it's this whole big legal thing.
You got to sign your life away.
You got to sign your life away, and it's and for a lot of people, sure, that makes sense for them. They're like, fine, as long as I get my money back. But it's really difficult to get that done. It really is. I'd say for every 10 attempts for a refund, less than one, 0.6%.
I've had both. I've had both patients and doctors crying to me on the phone, literally
Yeah.
crying.
Yeah.
So that's why
listen,
my whole thing is: look, man. People ask me why I don't have surgery. If you want to make fun of my comb over, young guys, go after yourselves.
It looks amazing.
I love the way that
looks amazing.
I feel very comfortable in my skin for the most part, except when I'm around Joe. And
Pull the step ladder.
yeah, and he does have to actually get on a ladder to see the top of my head. But
Yeah.
just kidding. I actually shrunk. But listen, brother, just send the pictures. I am curious, and just keep calling the show, and let's see if we can figure something out, at least to get you through this.
Yeah.
First of all, I really appreciate it, your help and understanding, and just in general, maybe it's not in my interest to say that, but in general, like the transplant enhanced my look. If I, just spike my hair back and I use Topic, it doesn't look ridiculous as before the surgery. Like I can say, yes, it did enhance my look. Maybe you will
That's
say
right. I forgot
I'm
you said
dumb,
that. Yeah.
and like I nailed it, and I look like amazing if I use also Topic and I wear my hair long. It looks actually nice, but going to a top-notch doctor, I expected much more. And like if you zoom in, you will see what I'm talking about, like the angles, the areas where hair didn't grow. So that's all for me. Like maybe next time
it sounds to me. It sounds to me like it's more of a refinement that you need, which I think is good for you.
It's not only that. It's not only that. Like I say a lot. Like a big area of my scalp, especially in my front, didn't grow, and he put hair there. This is what bothers me, and I think it's
I understand
unfair.
that, but what I'm saying is, I mean, and this goes back to what I say about any hair transplant surgery is, I was actually talking to I was interviewing a doctor 2 days ago that applied to be a part of what I do, and I was talking to him about outcomes of surgery, and the way I look at it is, even if there's poor growth, as long as it doesn't look like you had surgery, that's a win. Because the last thing you want is for it to look like you had a bad surgery. That's terrible.
Yeah.
That is, you don't come back from that unless you have successive repair surgeries.
That's almost
right?
every guy that I see who's, these quasi-influencers online who are coming back from overseas. I mean, the work that I'm seeing is just, I can't even believe, and people are saying, that looks so amazing. It literally looks like something was sewn into their scalps.
Yeah, it looks terrible.
Yeah.
So if you can get away with saying, with a little bit of work, it looks fantastic, that you look better than you did before surgery, then you need to accept that for what it is as a win, because an improvement is still an improvement, even if it's not the improvement, to the degree that you wanted. Okay, so try not to, and again, sight unseen, don't know what it looks like, just going based on what you said. Try to look at the upside of this.
I mean, Joe may see the pictures and be like, holy shit, this guy's a freak. So let's hope not.
And his hair looks terrible too. No, just kidding.
No.
Omar, look. The bottom line is, I understand your situation just from having been, having bad surgery myself. So I certainly do empathize.
Yeah.
But by your own admission, you said that it's actually better than before surgery. So take that for what it's worth, and focus on the good, not the bad. Okay, and send me your photos.
Right.
This is what I'll do for you. Okay, send me your photos. After you've subscribed and followed me on social media. Nothing's for free in this world. I will give you my genuine opinion of your case. Okay.
Okay. By the way, do you have any suggestion how to make the pictures wet hair?
No.
I don't know.
Got to be dry, man.
Dry hair,
dry
styled
and
as if
wash my
just
hair
styled
before,
as if you're
because-
going out.
And no product though. I mean, you could try. You could send pictures with the product, but you want to be able to see, like, if you got stray hairs growing out of your temples, Joe needs to see them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's varies. If after I wear a hat, after I sweat, it's just can look very different in certain.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's anyone. Yeah,
So-
that's me.
I got
like,
this.
my hair looks like shit when I
I got
wear a
this
hat.
this hair cement that Andrew Zarian left here when he came out to visit me, and I've been using it. And you put it on, and it works. It keeps my hair down, and I don't have to wear as much hairspray. But it's like, once you set it, that's it. You put a hat on, it literally the outline of the hat is it's there for the rest of the day. Can't even comb it out.
Yeah.
So, all right, brother. Listen, look, good luck.
All right, Omar.
We're gonna call it a night.
Thank you very much.
Guys who are calling in, we can't take your calls. But listen, Omar, we're here for you. We'll do our best for you. All right? Take care.
Thank you. I really appreciate both of you. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
brother.
You, and, for what
Good
you
night.
do.
Take care. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Bye.
And I just hung up on the calls because we got to go. I got dinner to go to. I may be drinking tonight, people. So I think Joe
I
has
see
my
alcohol in our future.
I think Joe has my emergency contacts, right?
Yes, I
Just in
do.
case?
Yes, I do. Likewise, yeah.
Yeah.
In case you go off reservation, I get it.
Yeah.
By the way, everyone, speaking of off reservation, click the like button. We only got 26 likes for this broadcast. Spencer was late, but we stayed late to compensate. We're here every week at no charge. And a lot more content's coming out, again, at no charge on Spencer's Instagram, which is at Spencer Kobren, my Instagram, at Joe Tillman Official. I will be changing that.
The only charge is to my mental health.
Exactly. Our mental health is what this costs you. But
People are
yeah,
animals,
do us a favor.
man.
Show the love. Click the like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And, of course, follow us on Instagram. And we'll see you in the next one.
All right, guys. Until next time, be strong. God bless. And thank you so much for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.